Hey, there's quite literally no one asking me to do this, but no one can stop me. So today I am doing the booktube newbie tag, and I realized that this is a thing a little late, so I already have a few videos out, but hey, whatever. I guess you can get to know me and then go watch some videos I've already uploaded. So yeah, today I'm doing the booktube newbie tag. It's just a series of questions, and I have changed some of them a little bit to suit what I want to talk about. Because yeah, I just think that there's some things that I want to tell you guys so that you can get to know me a little better. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? I mean, I think this is a common answer for a lot of people who start booktube channels. There's not a lot of people in my life who read really similar books as I do. So I have a couple friends and my sister who read, but it's pretty different genres from what I read. So I was finding myself reading and wanting to like rant to someone and, kind of have the same vibe as a book club. But I think, book clubs can be kind of hit or miss too because people might not read the book or might not take it as seriously. So I basically wanted to start a booktube channel to rant about books that I read, and then in doing that, hopefully find some people who read similar stuff that I do who can rant back at me. So long story short, I am seeking applications for some weird book friends. Number 2, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to booktube? So this kind of ties into the previous question, but I sort of just got back into reading, and I was looking for horror recommendations on YouTube, and I read a couple recommendations from a couple booktubers, and I just didn't really like them. And I found that I was having a hard time finding books, specifically in the horror genre, but books in general, that I was actually liking. So that also kind of made me feel like I might have a unique perspective because I was not enjoying all of the same books that other people were recommending. So maybe the books that I like are ones that maybe people haven't heard of yet or are more underrated, or just are ones that aren't getting recommended already. So I think I could add some new recommendations into the mix. I'm also a scientific researcher, so I'm wrapping up my thesis right now for my PhD in molecular and cellular biology. And I think that also adds another layer of uniqueness to my perspective, because I think a lot of other booktubers who are in academia are in sort of like the humanities or English lit or teaching and stuff like that. So I think I could bring, a unique perspective in that regard. But as a result of being a scientist, I do feel like I am pretty critical of science fiction and science fiction horror. So I guess if you do subscribe to my channel and you watch my videos and you're a sci-fi fan, be prepared for me to eviscerate the representation of science and scientists, because it is almost always wrong. But I think that can be fun to discuss. So yeah, look forward to book reviews where I harshly critique the science representation in science fiction and sci-fi horror. Another thing that will be unique about my channel is that I am planning on getting more tattoos. I'm currently working on a Junji Ito half sleeve, so I currently have tomie and then kirie from Uzumaki. And then I plan on getting azami from Uzumaki on the inside, so I plan on doing some tattoo vlogs in the future as well, if that's something you're interested in seeing. Okay, question number 3. What are you most excited about about this new channel? I feel like that's kind of worded weird. What are you most excited about? Okay, Sam. I'm really most excited about learning more about myself as a reader. So I feel like even in just this 1 month that I've had my booktube so far, I've learned a lot about myself as a reader and found a ton of new books that I really like. I think I found one book that might be like one of my favorites of all time. So I'm just thrilled, because that's really the main reason I started this channel, was to read more and just find more people who want to talk about books. So I'm already well on my way, and I'm just really thrilled with my progress. I'm just like so freaking excited for all the amazing books I have yet to meet. Number 4, why do you love reading? I love pretty much all forms of art, and I could definitely consider books and reading an art form. And what I love about art and reading and books is that they can make you feel things against your will. You could maybe like see a piece of art or read a particular sentence in a book that elicits such a knee-jerk emotional response, and I think that's so amazing and so powerful and so fascinating. Once you feel emotionally connected to something, or something makes you feel a certain way or elicits a certain response in you, yeah, like I said, it's like you have no control over it, and you're sort of like at the mercy of the piece of art. And I just think it's a really beautiful process. I don't know, maybe that's like too like big brain energy. I don't know. But it's true. It's like when you are consuming a piece of art or you're consuming a work of fiction or any form of art, you're surrendering yourself to however that piece of art is going to make you feel. I think art is just so powerful. And I love that feeling, like after I've consumed a piece of art or consumed a really good book, that I feel fundamentally changed by that piece of art. And I think that's awesome. God, yeah, that sounds so pretentious. It's true though. Like I like to think that I'm like a sum of all of the art I've consumed and media I've consumed and books that I've read. So, God, I sound like I suck really bad, but I promise I don't suck. But that's why I love reading. Okay, number 5, what book or series got you into reading? I had to think back to just like my favorite book from childhood, and that is The Halloween House by Erica Silverman. So this probably says a lot about like why I like horror so much, but basically this book is about 2 convicts who escape jail, and they seek refuge in this what they think is an abandoned house, but then it ends up being like haunted by all these various Halloween creatures. It's written in rhyme. It's a freaking like it's a baby book. So it's, this is the book that I was like, yep. And I think this is, like I said, was very formative for me as a reader. A lot of these scary, spooky themes are in my reading of, books that I read today. Okay, number 6, who are some of your favorite booktubers? So I kind of watch a range. Some booktubers I watch for recommendations. Some booktubers I watch because I like their personality. And then some booktubers I watch because I sort of admire them, I guess, or like admire their reading. So the first 3, I would say, have pretty similar taste to me, and I like them for various reasons. So the first is Harpies in the Trees, and she reads primarily supernatural horror. So she's one I go to when I'm wanting to read supernatural horror. She also creates really atmospheric, gothic looking videos, so they're just like a treat to watch. The second is Mr. Morningstar, and when I first saw his videos, I was blown away by his editing and his ability to make his videos really creepy while talking about horror books, which I think is tried by a lot of people, but it's not pulled off super well, but I think he does it super well. His content just seems so high production, and I love his videos, so definitely check him out. Well, check out all these people, but you know what I mean. Okay, number 3 is Spoopy Hall, and she also reads really similar books as I do. I don't know a lot of people who have read Battle Royale, the original book, and she's one of the first booktubers I found that actually had read that book, and it's one of her favorites, and it's also one of my favorites. So basically from then I was like, yeah, I can trust this girl with my book recommendations. Okay, so next up is someone who I think she reads some similar things as I do, but I really just watch her videos because she makes these amazing vlogs, and that is Books with Chloe. She does these weekly reading vlogs. The vibes are immaculate, just like ambiance, so like aesthetic. Man, it makes me want to like clean and decorate my house, So I love her videos. And then last is one who I don't think her and I have read a single similar book. Maybe we have, but that is CJ Reads. She reads a lot of literary fiction. She's sort of like my literary fiction fairy godmother. Yeah, I just really admire her. I like learn a lot from her videos. I'm really trying to get more into literary fiction because I think it's a genre I could really enjoy, but I just don't have a lot of experience with it. Okay, number 7, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I am currently writing my thesis, so I am a little worried about just like the logistics of like time management. I do want to kind of stick to weekly upload schedule, just because this is fun and this is a nice little mental health break from me from writing and working. I think it would be good for me if I could balance it. That said, I have also thought about maybe doing like thesis writing, working vlogs, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, making it kind of fun for me too, kind of breaking up the monotony of typing away at a laptop for 8 hours. That's what I'm worried about. Okay, number 8, when did you start reading? So I kind of alluded to this when I showed you the first book I read. Probably like 3 or 4 years old, like whenever people normally start reading, all downhill from there. Number 9, where do you read? I read on my couch, on the bus. I like to listen to audiobooks when I'm running errands or like doing chores around the house. Yeah, I also listen to audiobooks on road trips. That's pretty much it. Number 11. You know what? I definitely skipped number 10. Okay. Number 10. What kind of books do you like to read? I like to read mostly horror, but I am getting more into literary horror and literary fiction. I read some extreme horror. I can't do it all day, every day. Thrillers, contemporary fiction, wanting to dip my toes into more poetry, short stories as well. And then I also read graphic novels and manga, mostly manga. I pretty much read everything, I would say. Okay, now number 11. What are you currently reading? So this is a question I snuck in there, but I thought that it would give you a better idea of what I'm like as a reader. So I kind of have like a little stack of what's on my March TBR. This isn't, you know, my whole March TBR, but I really just like to kind of read what I'm feeling. So the first is a new release, and that is the Doloriad by Missouri Williams. This book is about a group of survivors who have survived after an environmental catastrophe. So basically it's a post-apocalyptic story, which is one I'm not normally interested in. But this one was interesting to me because it's literary horror, and it seems like it's many years after the catastrophe, which is, you know, normally post-apocalyptic stories, it's like reading about the catastrophe happening or the apocalypse happening and then like the immediate fallout. So I like that this was more long-term. This basically follows a group of survivors who are headed by a matriarch. So basically it's the matriarch and her brother, and they have resorted to incest to repopulating the human race. And the matriarch claims to see a vision of another group of survivors, so she offers up one of her daughters to marry them, or, you know, to kind of like offer peace or whatever. And then the daughter returns the next day and I guess was basically rejected. So then people are questioning like, oh, maybe the matriarch isn't actually as powerful as we think she is. I think it's kind of just like chaos from there. Excited to read this. The rest of these are ones that I just talked about more in depth in my book haul video. So I am going to kind of just gloss over these a little bit more quickly. But next, I'm reading Gutshot by Amelia Gray, which is a collection of short stories by her. I read Threats by Amelia Gray in January or in February, and I actually just reread it and annotated it, and I freaking loved it. So I'm basically just going to read everything Amelia Gray has published because she's awesome. Next is another new release, and this is another literary horror, so you can clearly see that Threats had a huge impact on me last month. This is another literary horror by Mónica Ojeda called Jawbone. This was originally released in 2017, but the English translation just came out like the end of February. This is about two women who were friends and then they become estranged, and one ends up in a hostage situation, so excited to read this one. Next is a novella. I really love reading indie horror and sort of like underrated horror. So this is the debut novella by Mark Towse called Nana. As you can imagine from the creepy grandma on the cover, it is a creepy grandma story. So her grandson comes to stay with her at her assisted facility, or, you know, whatever, assisted living home. And he finds that things are not quite as they seem with Nana. And then lastly is Slewfoot by Brom. This was one where I pretty much just was like completely taken by the cover. So this is a tale of bewitchery, which takes place in the 1600s in New England. I love witchy folk horror, so really excited to dive into this one. It's got like amazing art in it as well. Like each chapter has a little picture, but then there's also full color portraits of the main characters, which I just love. So yes, Slewfoot is also on my March TBR. So yeah, it was great introducing myself to y'all. If you want to stick around, if you want to go check out my other videos that I've uploaded, like I said, I really hope to try and upload every week. So it'll be wrap-up videos. I might get into some TBR videos, and I want to get more into some reading vlogs and individual book reviews. Yeah, I would love to have you if you want to hang and talk about books. I really suck at filming outros, so bye.